All right, welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Since 1971, the Haynes family and Southeast Termite and Pest Control have been protecting East Tennessee homes from bugs of all sorts, termites, mosquitoes, bed bugs. Now they also offer crawl space encapsulation, which keeps bugs out and also helps properly regulate the heat and air in your home. SoutheastTermite.com. These are good people. I use them myself. Very happy with them for many years. SoutheastTermite.com for you to learn more. All right. The SEC meetings are coming up over Memorial Day weekend, so a couple months away. There's expected to be plenty of discussion about flopping. Jimmy, I know you had Steve Shaw, the national head of officiating, on your show about a month ago. We didn't have time for it then, but I've waited, and it rolls in nicely here. I'll get you to talk about him in a second. But Josh Heupel this week spoke at a Rotary Club and was asked about the stuff, and he made the comment that the flopping he's talking about, it certainly has an impact on the game and how we play and what we do, but at the end of the day, we can only control what we can control. Let's line up and play ball. And I say, bravo. Cry and complain behind the scenes, get on the phone and yelp at Greg Sankey. I see no need to go out and just cry in public. Now, I know that he did go on to talk about, well, you could do this, you could do that. But give me the guy who isn't Lane Kiffin whining about everything. Am I wrong on that? Is this your only place as a coach to go out and squawk and draw attention? Should he be moaning and complaining about this more loudly?
No, because he does it.
Because he does the flopping himself?
Yeah.
Some.
Have you ever seen him kick an extra
Yeah,
point?
I know, they flop after
Oh,
every kick.
gosh.
So a lot of people, those are dangerous plays, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Those extra points are dangerous.
There was one word not put in there. He mentioned it's not good for the integrity of the game.
Right.
Okay, so that's where Steve Shaw comes in.
Yeah, go ahead.
And when we had Steve Shaw on, he said, look, we tried to put this in the hands of the coaches for the last several years. That's not working. It's a bad look. It's good. It's bad on the integrity of the game. He said, we are going to enforce a rule. I don't know if that rule is going to be to sit them out the rest of the possession. I don't know if that rule is going to be they have to sit out the next 3 or 4 plays, but we are going to do something. We cannot continue to allow this. That's what Steve Shaw said.
I mean, I think it's going to be tough. Every coach is complaining about this, both ones that do it and
they all
ones that
do
are
it, yeah.
victimized by it. But ultimately, it's going to be really hard to actually pass some legislation because, yes, you want to get flopping out. But if you get flopping out, you incentivize guys to play through injury. That's a player safety issue. And guess what college sports is mostly about right now from an administrative level? Not getting sued. Like, that is like the chief concern of the sort of highest levels right now. And this player safety. This is why you're not seeing the graded targeting calls, because they don't want to be seen as taking a step back.
This would lead to more coaches, and there's players we've had on our show who would tell you this is all coaches anyway, but this would lead to more coaches leaning on a player to play when hurt, which gets back to what you're talking about, that they want to try and protect the players right now and not get sued. But it incentivizes a player to play through pain, which means it incentivizes coaches to get players to play through pain.
It's a tough spot to be in. I do think it's funny. The one thing that I've taken from this is, weirdly, it's sort of a power of the SEC thing, because this has been an issue, in the early days of the Big 12's offensive renaissance in the early 2010s. This is like a major issue, and nothing happened ever. But the
Nationally, nobody cared.
The SEC, it's been happening for 2 or 3 years, really. Kind of A&M sort of brought it, but now you have it's as sort of the Baylor offense has proliferated the SEC and the up tempo. And now it's a major issue, and it's like a national conflict. It's the power of the SEC.
The thing I think is going to be difficult, and we were talking about this a little bit before the show, it's going to be very difficult to say, well, you're out for a certain number of plays, because what if you got you're hiring another official, or you're giving somebody the role of watching, okay, number 76, you're out for 3 more plays. I got to get my clicker, you're out for 2 plays. I could see people sneaking back in. I could see people saying, well, wait a second. Does that play that was just ruled dead, was that a play or is that not a play?
Question.
Does that count? What about this one that was brought back due to penalty? We played the play. I just think it's going to be very difficult to try and come up with something. I agree something should be done, but it's one of those things where I'm worried that whatever your solution is, it just creates another problem.
Yeah, all the solutions. I mean, it's the same thing as the transfer portal stuff. All the solutions that you come up with sound good, but my first thought is, okay, how are coaches going to exploit this?
Right.
Well, and every time you do it, you're like, well, there's that, here's a problem, and you're right. There's just, I want to see the faking injuries. I agree with Steve Shaw. It sucks for the game. It's hard to watch. It's pretty clear what's happening. And it's just, it's...
But if someone falls to the ground like they've been shot, then my concern for their safety is to get them some aid on the sidelines. I think they should have to go to the injury tent. If one player gets hurt, you shouldn't be able to send in mass substitutions for like Ole Miss was doing for like 5 or 6 guys.
And there's even some situations too where a guy is actually hurt and is trying to play, and the coach is like, "No, you're going to be a liability on this play. Go down." And that, like, more often you see coaches saying "go down." It's a signal to flop. But there are situations where a guy, his ankle's bad, and he's like, "No, we can't run this play because you're going to hurt the team," but he wants to play.
This sounds like a joke, but we tossed it out before the show, and it may be the only fix to this. If you're going to have to sit there and put guys out for certain amounts, penalty box. Goes in football.
Now that I would watch. That's a penalty injury.
Go sit in the flopper box. He's in the flop box. The flop house. Go to the flop house. All right, we need to catch a break, but I'm going to zip through this topic. 60 seconds. I'll just throw it to you since you didn't chime in much there. Texas and Oklahoma. Usually when these things get announced, they say, well, we're going to wait it out, and within 6 months, it's done. Everybody's moved. The grant of rights, I understand all that stuff and the contractual stuff. This is the first one, though, that really seems to be taking its time. I'm surprised there hasn't been more murmuring about Texas and Oklahoma.
I really thought that it was going to be one of those things we'll see in, 2025, 2024?
The plan
no,
was
we're going to see in 2022.
Right, or 3, yeah.
It almost getting to the point now, I still think it'll be 2023.
I'm with you.
But you've got to start doing something now. It can't be pushed back. You can't start in November and it be 2020.
$160 million is a lot of money.
But there just hasn't been much discussion at all. One question I have, so do Texas and Oklahoma, do they have representatives at the SEC meetings this year and the Big 12 meetings?
Good question.
That's an interesting little all right, because they would have to have a say in what the schedule is going to be, and that may come out of this SEC meetings as well.
It has been very quiet.
We just went way over, so when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about NIL. Josh Heupel had an interesting take on it, a positive we haven't discussed on this show. Do we buy it? Come on back.